Hey guys, what's going on? It's Baker. Welcome back to another Moonrise reveal reaction video. This one's going to be very interesting because this is the Blistrix episode. I've been waiting to see this card and this entire Ascension line in action because I think this might be the deck that I want to play based on what I know about some of these cards. So we're going to see the entire Ascension line. We've already seen one of the cards, technically two. I'm curious to see if it's any different because the card that we saw was in its prototype phase of Blistrix. So I'm curious to see if they've changed the effect or anything. But we did see its first Ascension line in Snowlit, which we'll see here, so I'm not even going to look at its effect. But we know what exactly it does. We don't know the middle Ascension now, so we're going to have to wait and see. But let's get into it.
Frostcasters, buckle in because we're going on an epic sleigh ride with our 32 days of Moonrise reveals, counting down until those pre-orders open on November 15th. And today, man, this reveal is ice cold.
Let's go. So for anyone that does not know about me, Frost is currently my favorite element in the game, even though I think it's so freaking terrible. I think it's so bad. I think the element sucks, but it's still my favorite. I like the play pattern that Frigicub provides with the deck. So I'm excited to see how this works. And I know we're getting a new Receive Elestral, which is something the deck that Frost desperately needed because all we had before was Catarant, which isn't a bad Receiver Elestral, but we need a new one. We need another Receiver Elestral, so here we go.
Back our Kickstarter for Elestrals Clash, so please do not miss out.
Last time I checked, we're at 475,000. We are $25,000 away from hitting 500,000, unlocking draft mode, unlocking the full art Stellar Eddie. Guys, if you haven't backed yet or think you might want to back a little bit more, do so we can get those awesome rewards. Not just me, not just as a thing that I'm doing for myself, a selfish reason, but actually for everybody. Everybody will get these rewards. So absolutely, back if you haven't yet.
Now, this is it. This is the final goal. We are going for these stretch goals. We're going to make it happen, and then the doors close, and you will not be able to get beta access. So seriously, you're going to want to make sure you guys get that pledge in, and if you can upgrade your tier as well, now is the time to do it with just a handful of hours left on the Elestrals Clash Kickstarter campaign. I'm so proud of this community, man. What an epic amount of support. Let's hit the finish line strong. And don't forget, we've got Shattered Stars Scorpio. If you didn't subscribe yet, you can check it out at shopelestrals.com.
Let's go.
But let's talk about a brand new Frost
so much
Elestral,
stuff, man.
Snowlit. Snowlit hits the field with 4 attacks.
Here we go.
It's pretty
card
serious
we already know
defense.
about.
It's a 1-cost Frost
really
Elestral.
nice card.
And it says, when this Snowlit receives 1 or more Frost Spirits, you can send the top 3 cards from your deck to the Underworld. So we've seen this theme with Frost up until this point of various cards like Avalanche, sending the top cards from your deck to the Underworld, Morolith taking advantage of having more Elestrals in your Underworld and then being able to be cast out and sending 5 more cards to the Underworld. So this has been a theme in Frost already, and Snowlit is going to enhance on that theme and take it to another level, as every time this hits the field, it's going to mill 3 cards to the top of your deck. And what really makes it strong is its Ascension line. The ability to turbo out its Ascension line will provide an incredible pace of play for Frost decks that hasn't been seen before. It's about to get real with Asprowl. Asprowl is a 7 attacker.
This is the one part we have yet to see. Come on.
When this Asprowl is sent from your deck to the Underworld, you can special ascend your Snowlit to it.
That's what I wanted. I wanted that so badly. Let's go.
Snowlit is just on your field enchanted. You can special ascend this Asprowl to your Snowlit if your Asprowl gets sent to the Underworld. That is absolutely nuts when you consider the fact that Snowlit is going to mill 3 cards every time it's cast or receives a spirit. You're going to be able to tie it with cards like Avalanche, which can mill 5 from the top of your deck to search for Asprowl to be able to get that Ascension.
Basically, if you open Snowlit Avalanche, you can send top 8 cards from your deck to the Underworld. That's unfreaking believable.
You've got a lot of cool tools here. Morolith is another one. Asprowl is going to hit the field more frequently than you might think, and it's got an effect as well. You can expend a Frost Spirit in order to send the top 4 cards from your deck to the Underworld.
Jesus.
So Asprowl hits the field as a turbo on the Snowlit.
So
and then
the thing about expending as well in Frost, as you know, your local Frost caster myself, they don't mind expending. Like, you typically want to get your Frost Spirits in the Underworld for stuff like Frigicub and Catarant and Shiverroar, because they can utilize those spirits in your Underworld to just constantly enchant onto your guys. So you do not actually mind having a bunch of Frost Spirits in your Underworld, especially if you're playing the Cryolane, Cryovern stuff, because you need Frost Spirits in your Underworld to get that out very consistently. So you don't actually that much mind expending Frost Spirits in Frost all that often. So I don't think that's that bad. That's actually a very, very interesting
And you
effect.
can just
I
do
think that's really,
its
really
effect
cool.
again and mill 4 more cards and try to land a Blizztrix. Blizztrix has a
There
very
it
similar
is,
effect to
12-6. Love
Aspral,
this.
that when this Blizztrix is sent from your deck to the underworld, you can special ascend your Aspral to it.
Yes.
So again, Snowlit turbos into Aspral if you find the Aspral on the mill, and then Aspral turbos into Blizztrix if you find the Blizztrix on the mill. And then it has another effect, and this is a 12 attacker with 6 defense, 2 cost frost, 1 wind. You can return 3 Elestrals from your underworld to the bottom of your deck in order to destroy a card. So every single turn, you can destroy something. And
So,
chances are you're going to have plenty of Elestrals in your
on.
underworld because you'll have sent so many cards to the underworld in order to execute this strategy that Blizztrix will often have the ability to hit 1, 2, even 3 cards throughout the course of its life of hitting on the field. This card is very, very powerful, and the ability to
it's really
turbo
sick,
into
really
it
sick.
through Snowlit and through these different milling
So-
effects is absolutely...
there is one downside to this deck that I'm noticing. There is not any guarantee in the slightest that if you go snow it on board, let's say you don't have Aspral yet, you are milling cards until you hit an Aspral, so you can ascend that Aspral. Then you're constantly milling cards until you hit a Blizztrix, so you can get the Blizztrix out and just get it out, turbo it out, and all that. The issue with this, there is no guarantee that you're going to hit Aspral before you hit Blizztrix. There is a very likely opportunity for you to mill Blizztrix while you have a Snowlet out before you hit the Aspral, and then the Blizztrix is just basically stuck in your underworld because you can't do anything with it. It's as soon as it's sent there. It's not an effect that can be activated from the underworld. It's an effect that activates in the underworld as soon as it gets sent from deck to underworld. So, if you mill the Blizztrix before you hit your Aspral on board, the Blizztrix is just sat there, and there's nothing you can do about it. To be fair, you can technically, in that case, reborn it with, like, Rise in the Ashes, if you want to play Rise in the Ashes. So maybe you do play Rise in this deck. I could see that. It seems pretty expensive, because that's a 6-cost Rise. To be fair, with stuff like Frigid Cup, maybe it's not the worst thing in the world to do that, but it is still relatively expensive to do that, so I'm not the most certain about it. But it's still very, very interesting. I think this is a deck that if everything goes well, this is a deck that's basically gambling the deck. You're just gambling until you're gambling, hoping that you can hit the Blizztrix, hit the Aspral before you hit the Blizztrix, because you need to get that Aspral on board as soon as you possibly can. So it's interesting. I think this is really cool. I also think the Blizztrix second effect is also very, very powerful, because just by returning 3 Elestrals from your underworld to the bottom of your deck, destroy a card. Non-targeting destruction as well. Very, very crazy. So if you are able to pull it off, I think it's very good. It's 12-6. Granted, no protection, but it's still kind of fine. And you also have a big beater that immediately needs an answer, because it can just start blowing up your opponent's entire board. So there are a bunch of things that Blizztrix can do that's interesting. Again, I think it's sort of the inconsistency, because I feel like in order to get the most consistency, you're playing 3 copies of every single card. It's Snowlit, 3 copies of Snowlit, 3 copies of Aspral, 3 copies of Blizztrix. Maybe you want to play 2 Blizztrix, so that there's a higher likelihood that you mill the Aspral before the Blizztrix. I'm not entirely certain about that, but it is an option. I think you definitely still play Frigid Cub and Kione, because obviously you need Kione in order to Nexus off of, and you won't mind having a Kione since you're going to be milling a bunch of cards. So you don't mind that. Probably at least 2 copies of Mountains. I don't really think you need to search Mountains over the course of the game, but I think at least having like 2 copies of Mountains is good. Obviously, Ambrosia's, your counter rune lineup, all that. I think you do probably run Morolith, and absolutely you're running Morolith. You probably run Avalanche as well. I'm not entirely certain about Avalanche, but I feel like you probably do run it. So there's a couple of interesting things, and we have seen a couple of other Frost cards. Off the top of my head, I remember Aurora Borealis. That's about it. For the most part, I think this deck is interesting, and I think it's something to tinker with when Moonrise comes out. I will definitely be tinkering with these cards once I have a better opportunity to do so. Once we have the full set list and we can get good PNGs of all these cards, I will definitely be testing this out in Tabletop Simulator and letting you guys know exactly how my testing's going, because I'm very interested in this deck. I love Frost. And I also love wind as well. So 2 favorite elements together. You probably also played maybe P-Gust in this, just as some additional rune removal. You might as well, you know, you're already playing a little bit of wind, so why not? But, guys, oh wait, no. We're not done with the video.
Insane.
We probably
not
are.
to be taken lightly in Moonrise. Let me tell you, I think this new Elestral line is going to be very powerful and a lot of fun to
I'm sorry, guys. I just spoiled what's coming up.
play, which is most important. I think Frostcasters are really going to enjoy the Blistrix line. And last but certainly not least, a brand new Stellar Rare for you to chase after, and that is Stellar Snowlit. Stellar Snowlit will only have 99 copies ever
this is
made,
a very
and it's
cute,
so beautiful. I love
cute
this
card.
one.
I love
decided
this
to go
one.
with a
That's
simple
really cool.
color swap on it, going
Very,
with the
very
gray
cool.
and the white, that kind of gray stone look. I think it looks
like
very
it.
nice
I like
on
it,
Snowlit,
yeah.
especially
I think
in the
that's
Tundra
probably it.
territories.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
it.
this is going to be an incredible Elestral to chase after. I know that I
It's sick.
definitely want
It's
to
very,
get a couple
very
of these
cool.
Snowlits, man. I think this looks beautiful. So I hope you guys are excited about it when Snowlit, Aspral, and Blistrix drop in Moonrise. Again, don't forget to...
So I basically just want to talk about this. Let me go back to Blistrix just because I think Blistrix is cool. And there's obviously the card art with the foiling on it. That's really, really cool. So the issue, again... I think these cards are very, very cool. It enables a style of Frost that we really, really have not seen because we've seen all these cards that say mill top cards. You probably also maybe even play Pulsar in this because Pulsar can get up to a big attack in this. That could basically be your beater. But that's beside the point. It enables a style of play that we really haven't seen a whole lot of. We've seen Snowmen with the Morolith deck that has been like topping a little bit here and there. But that deck is not the best thing in the world, and there's not really a big payoff for it other than Morolith. This is the payoff for it. So this is the big payoff for that deck. I think it's very, very interesting, very, very neat, very cool, all that fun stuff, you know. Again, though, the biggest issue, I'll say, you have to mill Aspral before you mill Blistrix, and there's no guarantee you're going to do that. I feel like the issue with this deck is going to be its consistency in actually getting that fulfilled, which you'll be able to mill a bunch. You will eventually, you'll probably be able to mill an Aspral and a Blistrix over the course of the game, like consistently. But the issue is actually milling them in the correct order. That is the issue, and we don't have a card like First Light in Frost that can just stack the top card of your deck so that it guarantees the mill. We don't have that. So it's a bit of a weird situation. Now, I will say, Aurora Borealis does help this deck because you can also just enchant once again onto a Blistrix, not a Blistrix, I've already forgotten its name. What am I doing? Snowlit, a Snowlit. You can enchant it onto a Snowlit to mill a bunch of cards, and then immediately on your opponent's turn, ascend into the Aspral. I don't think it's the best thing in the world. It can be fine because 7 attack is something that your opponent's now going to have to deal with. And if they just play a 5, you can just go Aurora Borealis, mill 3. If you mill an Aspral, now they can't get over your guy. So it's an interesting decision. It's something to note. I'm a little concerned about the consistency of this, but I think these cards are at the very least cool. I would like a little bit more consistency, like First Light to stack top your deck so you know what you're milling. That's the only thing that's the only issue I have with this. But obviously you can't have everything, so whatever. It's totally fine. I think these cards are cool, and I will definitely be tinkering with them. So guys, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, make sure you slap the like button and subscribe for more. Hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.